Welcome to this third reflection on our pilgrimage with Jesus to Jerusalem. In today's Gospel, we hear Jesus ask questions of his listeners and of us. There is a delightful story about an elderly rabbi who was asked by his friend, "Why do you always answer a question with a question?" The rabbi shrugged his shoulders, opened his hands and replied, "Why shouldn't I always answer a question with a question?" At the time of Jesus, asking questions was a common teaching device for a rabbi. But Jesus makes it into an art form. In the New Testament, Jesus asks over 300 questions. Jesus was constantly asking, why? How come? What do you think? What do the scriptures say? The questions invite the listeners and the readers of Luke's Gospel to look deeper and deeper into the mystery of God. The very word question is a clue, for embedded in it is the word quest, a journey, a series of challenges, a search for what was lost. In today's Gospel, Jesus puts words to the question in everyone's minds. Do you think? For the listener, his questions echoed the perennial questions of why? Why misfortune, tragedy, violence, and death? For the Jewish audience, it was also about the law and the consequences of not obeying each and every dietary law and regulation. For the Pharisees and much of Jewish society, their image of God had become distorted into a cause and effect God, an uncompromising and calculating mathematician. The question Jesus asks prompts the crowd to see these incidents through the eyes of God's abundant mercy and with an attitude of deep humility. Jesus knows that a tower falling is an accident, not the act of a vengeful God. He also knows that unless the Jewish people have a change of heart, attitudes and action, the Roman army will ensure that it is far more than a tower that falls upon them. In Luke's Gospel, a question is often followed by a parable. The question, "Who is my neighbour?" is followed by the parable of the Good Samaritan. In today's Gospel, we have the perfect example of this pattern. And for Luke, the literary master, it's all about the story. Short allegories or midrash stories were commonly used by rabbis at the time of Jesus. But again, Jesus and Luke gives this method a whole new dimension. 18 of the parables, the Good Samaritan for example, are found only in the Gospel of Luke. Jesus invites the listener to enter the story world of parable. When we enter this world with our emotions and our imagination, we begin to see through the eyes of another. To stand in the shoes of the other, or in this case perhaps the roots of a fig tree, is the way of empathy and mercy. Jesus tells parables to reveal a deeper truth, too immense for the human mind to grasp and comprehend. Like a diamond turned in the bright sun, different facets of a parable can reveal a different light, a different colour, a different perspective. The parables of Jesus are filled with images of ordinary things, places and people, but they can each take on a transcendent significance. Often the parables don't have a satisfactory conclusion. We don't know if next year the fig tree is laden with fruit, or if it is still bare and the gardener pleads for one more year for the tree. Pope Francis, in an address the week after his election, asked, "Have you thought about God's patience? The patience he has with each one of us. That is his mercy." He always has patience with us. He understands us. He waits for us. He does not tire of forgiving us if we are able to return to Him with a contrite heart. Great is God's mercy.